Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on Inside NASCAR. I'm in Conover, North Carolina at DAJ Racing. This is the home of the White Rain Fords, which are driven by Dale Jarrett on a limited basis in the NASCAR Busch Series. There are also a couple of other cars that are kept in this shop, and we'll show you those a little later on in the program. Dale Jarrett is part of our program today, and we have lots more for you in this 1 hour of Inside NASCAR.
After 5 races of the '97 Winston Cup season, Dale Jarrett looks like a good bet to be a factor in the championship come fall. Jarrett has won the last 2 races, completed all the laps run, and led more than 57% of the laps. We sat down and talked to the current points leader and discussed his early season success. Have you ever wanted to get behind the wheel of a Winston Cup stock car? We'll take you to the new 1.5-mile Las Vegas Motor Speedway to check it out. If you're planning on going to the Interstate Batteries 500 next week at the new Texas Motor Speedway, stay tuned because Speedway VP Eddie Gossage will show you what you can expect when you get there. All this coming up in the next hour of Inside NASCAR.
Inside NASCAR is brought to you by Honda. Between now and May 31st, you can get a great deal on a great bike during the Honda Ride-Off. Honda, walk in, ride off. And by Miller Lite. With a great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good.
The NASCAR Winston Cup drivers and teams are off this weekend. They go to the new Texas Motor Speedway next weekend for the Interstate Batteries 500. Last week, they were at Darlington, South Carolina. The Winston Cup drivers ran the Trans-South Financial 400. The Busch drivers ran the Diamond Hill Plywood 200. Randy LaJoie won that race, and Dale Jarrett dominated the Trans-South Financial 400 again and won his second Winston Cup race in a row. Stephanie Boyd is in our studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. She'll take a look back at those events and catch us up to date on all the news.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Saturday edition of Inside NASCAR. For many people, this weekend marks the Easter holiday, and that means the weekend off for the Winston Cup and Craftsman Truck Series. But for the Busch Grand National Division, Easter always means the Hickory Motor Speedway. The Galaxy Food Center 400 comes your way in just about an hour here on TNN, so be sure to stick around. But right now, let's take a look back at last weekend's action from the Busch and Winston Cup Series in Darlington, where it was the last event at the track Too Tough to Tame before the front and back stretches switched places. First off, the Dale Jarrett freight train continues to steamroll its way through NASCAR's top division, despite the fact that officials keep tinkering with the rules for the Ford teams. Jarrett was on the pole for the Trans-South Financial 400, and once again he dominated, leading the most laps for the 4th time in only 5 races so far this season. In the final laps, though, Jarrett had his hands full with Family Channel driver Ted Musgrave. Musgrave was relentless trying to get around the Quality Care Ford, trying all the way to the last lap to make the pass. But Jarrett was able to hold them off and went on to collect his 2nd win of the season and first ever at Darlington.
It was tough. I knew that he was kind of saving something there. I could see him back off and cool down a little bit. And it was about 20 to go that I realized that I had abused my right front tire and I was going to be in trouble. And I could still get through 1 and 2 okay, but 3 and 4 I couldn't get off of the turn 4 at all. And I was afraid that he was going to get a run and pass me. And probably somebody else that was really a little bit too eager would have turned Dale Jarrett around there, but Ted Musgrave's a good racer, and my hat's off to him. I know he was after that first victory. He did a great job, and he could have probably got into me a little harder than what we did, and because I was cutting him off. I wanted to win here really bad.
We both were pushing like dump trucks over in 1 and 2, and I tried to get under him. I nerfed him a little bit and turned him sideways a little bit and tried it again off 4, and, you know, you don't want to, you just rough him up as much as you can, but still be clean, you know, because I know it's going to turn around one of these days.
One of the most impressive runs of the day came from 2nd place pointsman Jeff Gordon. Gordon was leading early in the race when the DuPont Chevy got into some oil and brushed the wall. After pitting for repairs, the 24 wound up at the back of the field and spent the rest of the day charging his way through traffic to finish 3rd.
I definitely heard something in the rear of the car when I got into the wall. You know, that hurt us all day long. I fought loose, but I think everybody kind of fought loose. Boy, this place was slick. It's slick enough by itself, let alone put all that oil and the oil dry and everything else that was out there on that track. But We fought hard. We had a good run, though, and I'm happy to finish third. And, you know, we'd love to have had something for those guys up front, but I don't think there's a Chevrolet that had anything for them today.
Jeff Burton also had a great run, leading 4 times for 55 laps. His Exide Batteries machine was one of 6 Fords to finish in the top 10, but he didn't have enough to place higher than 4th.
It was a tough race. That was a lot of hard racing for a racetrack that demands racing the track. We were racing each other pretty hard. Our car was really good early. It was decent in the middle and not good at all late. We kept getting really loose on long runs late in the race. Early in the race, the longer the run, the better we were. So a little confused right now about what we need to do when we come back as far as making it better.
The driver who had some of the worst luck of the day was Texaco pilot Ernie Irvin. He and Burton diced it up for the lead for a number of laps and even bounced Gordon around a little. But trouble with a tire in the pits cost the 28 valuable track position, and then a brush with the wall just added insult to injury.
You know, we had a bad pit stop, and you know, this Texaco Havoline Ford was a really good car all day, and I just happened to slap the fence a little bit, and that pretty much ended my day as far as being competitive.
Irvin wasn't the only hard luck story. Ricky Craven also had another bad day when Robert Presley got into the wall right in front of him, putting both drivers out of the race on lap 160 of 293.
Robert spun and came back across in front of me and collected the Bud Chevrolet and put it in the wall. Second week in a row.
Presley was transported to a local hospital for x-rays to see if he re-injured his back from a crash earlier this year at Daytona. But everything checked out okay. Well, the exciting finishes at Darlington weren't reserved just for the Cup guys. Saturday's Busch Grand National show was just as big of a thriller, with Randy LaJoie showing once again that the Busch guys can hold their own. Jeff Burton was also a factor in this race, leading 46 of the 147 laps. But his number 9 Ford was behind LaJoie on a restart with only 5 laps to go. It was a shootout between the two drivers, with Burton finally getting by on the last lap. But LaJoie pulled the slingshot heading to the checkers and went on to collect his second Busch Grand National win of the season.
I had tried to get away from him. He was a little bit stronger than me coming off of turn 2. He got by me. And I've watched many races here at Darlington. That's the pass going into 3. It worked. So obviously what I've been watching, I learned something.
LaJoie and Jarrett both dedicated their wins to John Nemechek, who lost his life last weekend due to brain injury suffered during the Craftsman Truck Series race in Homestead, Florida. His death was a real blow to the racing community and was definitely on everyone's mind at Darlington. Throughout the garage area at Darlington last week, stickers and buttons served as painful reminders that one of NASCAR's own had just passed away. The death of John Nemechek hit everyone hard, and hearts poured out to his family and friends. The Nemecheks are well known as a tight-knit, loving group, and the racing community has been quick to show their support.
Well, one of the things you do with all people who face this kind of situation is to help them to deal with it in reality. In other words, help them to grieve. Instead of to avoid grief, you need to really help people to understand grief, and grief in itself is a healing process. And so we go through helping the family to understand that and tell them it's okay to cry, it's okay to grieve. In fact, that we encourage them to do that.
John Nemechek was just beginning to realize the potential many believed he was capable of. Since joining the Craftsman Truck Series in 1995, Nemechek had posted 4 top 10 finishes, with his best one a 7th, ironically coming at Homestead last year. He was running in the top 10 there again this year when the accident happened, one of the first races ever his mother did not attend.
We just want the Nemecheks to know that people are thinking about them, and you know, more importantly than that is that they don't need to feel guilty for supporting their kids. You know, I'm sure that right now, because it's natural instinct, they're saying, gosh, I wish we'd have never helped their kids get into racing, but you know, John did what he wanted to do, and he was doing when he died what he loved to do. And his family needs to hear that, because I know it's hard. It's easy for me to say standing right here, but it's a tough sport. It can be a brutal sport every now and then. It can be a terrifying sport, to be quite honest. But when things happen, if we don't all rally together and support each other, then this sport will never go as far. It will never gone as far as it has. And I and everybody in this community just needs to let the Nemecheks know what we feel about it.
If you'd like to let the Nemecheks know how you feel, you can write to Czech Motorsports, P.O. Box 177, Mooresville, North Carolina, 28115. Or donations can be sent to the John Nemechek Trust Fund, Community Bank of Homestead, 28801 Southwest 157th Avenue, Homestead, Florida, 33033. Well, that's all the time we have for this segment of Inside NASCAR. But when we come back, Ned will rejoin you from the shops of DAJ Racing. Remember, the Busch Grand National Series takes the green flag at Hickory Motor Speedway just after this program, so be sure to keep it right here on TNN. And don't forget to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern for our Sunday morning edition of Inside NASCAR. We'll be right back.
These are the trophies that Dale Jarrett has added to his collection this year. The Prime Star 500 trophy from Atlanta a few weeks ago, and last weekend, Darlington, South Carolina in the Trans-South Financial 400. Of course, his main job is driving the Robert Yates Quality Care Ford Credit Ford number 88. And what a year they're having so far, with 2 wins, leading the point standings after 5 races. Just couldn't be much better. Stephanie Boyd talked to Dale this week.
It's just something out there about it that makes it tough. And when you can get through 400 miles and get across the finish line first, it's very gratifying.
In his 10th full season on the Winston Cup circuit, Dale Jarrett is suddenly the hottest property in the most popular racing series in the world. The 40-year-old driver scored his 10th career victory and 2nd straight last week at Darlington, keeping him atop the point standings and making him an early favorite for the series title. But what makes his story even more impressive is that 6 of his 10 wins have only come since getting behind the wheel of the number 88 machine just barely over a year ago.
It is incredible to think about. I mean, I didn't ever know that if I was going to be the type of driver and get in the right situation that was going to allow me to be a contender week in and week out and win back-to-back races or even more than 1 race in a year. And the last year and a half has just been incredible. But that shows, you know, what the right equipment and the right people can do, because, you know, I haven't changed as a race driver. I just have the equipment to do it with now, and, you know, I'm getting a lot of the credit, but the credit, again, goes to the crew, because they're the ones that are giving me these cars and these engines week in and week out.
The equipment that Jarrett says helped put him in victory lane is the same equipment that also powers Ernie Irvin's Texaco Haviland machines. Both drivers work for Robert Yates Racing, but Irvin has only scored 1 top 5 so far this year. You'd think that might make Jarrett's success hard for the 28 crew to swallow, but the quality care driver says that's not the case.
If it is, they're not showing it. They're very happy when either one of us does well. Certainly, we would like for both cars to win 10 races throughout the year, and that's very possible. But, you know, they've been right there week in and week out. Unfortunately, they've had some bad luck where we've had some good fortune, and that's the difference. But, you know, you don't see it. Ernie is great towards me, and he realizes that he has the same equipment that I have. It's just right now Dale Jarrett has good luck, and he isn't having as good a luck. But the guys on the crew, they realize that whichever one of us do well, they're going to get a bonus, and that's something that Robert Yates did right from the start, that whichever one of us finishes first, second, or third, they get a bonus, and if we both finish up there, they get extra bonuses. So it's a full team effort at Robert Yates Racing, and I see no one begrudging anyone else on the other team for the success that one may be having right now over the other.
Ironically, when Jarrett drove the 28 car during 1995, filling in for the injured Irvin, the team struggled and couldn't seem to connect. Many people were quick to point the finger at DJ as the problem, but his instant success in the 88 car quickly proved he's got what it takes.
This whole business is about timing, as most businesses are. And unfortunately, it wasn't the best timing for Dale Jarrett to be in the 28 at the time. And but we all learned a lot from that. I gained a lot of experience, a lot of valuable experience from that time. And I think that Robert Yates and people there showed Dale Jarrett a lot about racing, how to race for a championship and how to win races. And then when Todd Parrott came along and became part of our race team, that was the big turnaround. I still had confidence in myself that I could get the job done. And I know that people are going to talk, and they're going to say what they want to say anyway, and it doesn't matter. So all you can do is try to change that with performance. And I just decided that I was going to continue to work hard as I had done in the past, and the right situation would come along. You look for that perfect mix. Someone that you really have confidence in, that is going to give you that race car week in and week out. And I have that in Todd Parrott and the crew right now. They may can do something wrong, but in my eyes right now, they can't do a thing wrong and haven't for the last year and a half.
With his newfound success, Jarrett also has a newfound legion of fans, plus numerous more demands on his time. He says that's caused his life to change quite a bit, but that his family helps him keep things in perspective.
My wife, Kelly, does a great job of keeping me grounded and making sure that I understand that, hey, you are just Dale Jarrett, the father of 4 children, and that's what you should be. You're no better than anybody else out here. And I realize that, and I realize that I am very, very fortunate, and there are people out there that are less fortunate than me, but that doesn't make me any better than them. And I think watching my dad over the years has played a big part in that, because he has always been very friendly to everyone. If I could be half the dad and half the person that my father has been throughout the years, I would consider myself a success in that respect.
Of course, Ned Jarrett was a 2-time Winston Cup champion, and Dale would like nothing better than to follow in his dad's tire tracks. And if things keep up the way they are now, the second-generation driver has a great shot at the title.
It would mean everything to me. The Winston Cup Championship is what it's all about. Winning races is great, but that's not what you're remembered for. You're remembered for the Winston Cup Championships. And I know that Dale Earnhardt has never won the Daytona 500, but he has 7 Winston Cup Championships, and that's something I dearly want. I think that it is possible for it, and I would love to represent this sport as the champion.
Hi, this is Jeff Hammond, crew chief of the Parts America Chevrolet, and you may be wondering why I'm sitting inside of Daryl's car. Today we want to talk about electrical problems and how we've avoided them on the Parts America Chevrolet. It's been said often that an engine may be the heartbeat of a car, but I'm going to show you what the brain of the car is. It's the electrical system. If the electrical system fails, the heart of the car is dead. So therefore, we've tried to simplify it in case we do have an electrical problem for Daryl to be able to, during the course of the race, if we develop some miss or the car quits, to simply change and go to a completely different system by going from ignition A to ignition B with a touch of a switch. That's how we've tried to make sure we can finish 500 miles and win on Sunday.
What does a race driver do to celebrate the day after he wins a big race? Well, the day after Dale Jarrett won the Trans-South Financial 400 at Darlington, South Carolina, he was busy signing 600 programs, Prime Star 500 programs from the Atlanta race, and that'll be for a TV auction. Well, our Tyler Potter had a little bit of a celebration a couple of weeks ago. He got to go through the Richard Petty driving experience at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and here's his story.
Well, we're here at the Richard Petty driving experience. I can't wait to get out there, but before we do anything, we have to sign the waiver and fill out the information inside, so let's go on in. Hi, how you doing? I need to fill out, I guess I have to sign my life away and fill out this piece of paper. All right. What am I surrendering now? House, family, okay. Not my wife. I feel like this is the last meal. Blueberry muffin is all I get.
Hope it's not my last.
First and foremost, priority is your safety. So it's really important that you pay attention. They're going to tell you all the things like follow distance, acceleration, deceleration points. What happens if you get a flat tire? What happens if the oil pressure light comes on? And it's really important that you do ask any questions of the instructors.
All right, here it is. All right, you sure it's the right size?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I'm not that big now.
No, I know.
All right, I forgot to tell you, before we go out in the car, we've got to get a quick picture in front of the car by Bob over there. So let's do this real quick.
Hey there. All right.
Give me the attitude, Bob.
All right, how do I hold it, Bob?
All right, put your head up on the roof. Sorry for the laryngitis. Turn your helmet a little bit so I can see that front. You got to get that 1-800-PETTY in there.
All right.
All right. Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
All right, this is it. Want to tell me what I'm doing now?
We're going to get in this car, we're going to fire it up and send you out on your way about 140 miles an hour.
There's no turning back now, I guess.
Handle it?
I'm going to try.
All right.
Okay, let's give it a shot. Just slide in.
Right leg. Other leg. Slide in.
Woo! All right. Not quite the way you get in a Volvo, I guess.
Different, huh?
Incredible. I don't know how fast I'm going, but it feels like I'm doing 200 miles an hour.
Did pretty good, but what you need to do in order to keep up, we could have got a whole bunch more speed.
Oh, I could have gone faster?
Oh, yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah.
I wanted him to go faster.
You need to get closer.
Oh, really? Okay.
If he can't see in the mirror, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the
3 car lengths? Was I further? I was further back than that. See, to me.
He's about 10.
Oh man. Well, let's see. I wanted to go faster. Well, I'm going to learn that the next time then. What other advice can you give me now as I get ready to go for the second time?
Stay on the accelerator as you go into one. Don't back off. Use that slanted pedal. Roll through the corner and get back on the gas and look down the racetrack.
Definitely a difference the second time out. Boy, you just have confidence in the car.
All right, for those of you wondering now, this is our 3rd time out. We had 2 10-lap segments. This is the final installment, and we're going to try to push this one. I'm going to try to get him going 150 miles an hour. The last time they said, at least you told me, Brian, you thought maybe 140, 145. So
the last time we hit about 145 miles an hour. If you push the envelope, do what we said, pick up carrier speed, get it on and off the gas through the corners, you should hit about 150
150, and that's what we're going to go for. We're going to try to push that instructor all the way and see if we can do it.
Man, what a rush coming off turn 4. The wheels just stick to that pavement.
Good out there, man.
Man, I tell you what, you can't have any fear. No fear at all, otherwise you're as good as gone. But man, you just want to drive those corners so aggressively, and you just want to punch it and just have it stick to that track so fast, and it feels great.
Yeah, you had
I feel like I jump off a mountain right now, I'm so high.
Tyler Potter, 154.2. All right. There you go.
Well, what a day it's been here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for the Richard Petty driving experience. We got here at about 7 a.m. this morning, West Coast time. It's now 3:30. It's been a long day. We've got the sun to prove it, but we had a great time. And just so you know, I've got it here in writing to prove it. 2nd fastest top speed of the day at 154.2 miles per hour. You have to trust the car. And as the day wore on, I think I did that. But I highly recommend it. We had a great time. Hope you can make it out here, too.
For more information on the Richard Petty driving experience, call 1-800-BE-PETTY. That's 1-800-237-3889.
I don't know if Tyler might want to graduate into one of these cars. This is Jason Jarrett's late model stock that he runs at Hickory and Tri-County Speedways and others, sponsored by Caradco Windows. We'll be back with a tour of the Texas Motor Speedway and lots more right after this.
Stadium seating that goes down to the glass. We're right at the start-finish line, so you got a great view here. A couple of television sets so that you can catch all the replays. If you can do it, this is the way to go to the races.
Well, you know, South Carolina got upset. That's my home state, but I guess right now I got to pull for Kentucky because our agent Steve Jones, he's a big Kentucky fan, so we got to go with him.
Well, I'm from Indiana, so I had to pick the Hoosiers, but they're already out. So, you know, I live in North Carolina now, so I guess I'm going with North Carolina team.
You're going to love me for this because
I don't even know who's playing, because if it ain't got wheels on it, I don't really mess with it too much, but I really don't know who's even playing.
You're not alone, I'll tell you that much.
Wait a minute, we should have got Bill Parsons, because, man, he is in the sports thoroughly. So maybe if you catch one next, Dylan. Then here he is, here. Mike Dillon, answer this question.
Mike, he's passing the ball. Who's going to win the NCAA tournament and why?
Carolina, man.
Everybody in NASCAR is excited about going to the new Texas Motor Speedway next week for a doubleheader. Dale Jarrett will drive this White Rain Ford in the Coca-Cola 300 Busch race on Saturday. Of course, he'll run his Robert Yates Quality Care Ford Credit Ford number 88 in the Interstate Batteries 500 NASCAR Winston Cup race on Sunday. Eddie Gossage is the president of the Texas Motor Speedway, and he takes us on a tour of that new facility.
Hi, I'm Eddie Gossage, General Manager of Texas Motor Speedway. We still got some work to do here, but we're going to be ready for the April 6th Interstate Batteries 500. I'm going to take you and Tyler Potter for a tour, and we're going to start upstairs in the press box. Well, we're here in the press box, and this is the nicest press box in all of racing. Got a lot of mahogany trim and that kind of thing, which is something I never thought I'd see in a press box at a speedway. Seats about 140 people, and we try to do a lot of things we've learned over the years that the media needs. Get all these bins everywhere because, you know, the teams put their press kits in them and that kind of thing. Gives you the reporters information you need to know about the drivers. And I've never seen them quite done this way. This is really gorgeous stuff. And we try to think of all the things that reporters need to disseminate the information back out to the public. And, you know, 140 seats, that's bigger than any press box I know of in auto racing. So really happy with how it's turned out. It's a beautiful place. You know, you can see it gives you a great view here. They're coming right at you out of turn 4, and you can see the finish of the race. And we're in one of the 205 suites that we have here at the Speedway. They all seat 64 people apiece, which means we've got more skybox suite seats than any sports facility in the country. They all look very similar. This one, we got a bar here that serve food and drinks and that kind of thing right here, and then restrooms inside the suite for the people that are visiting here, and a lot of space. These are much larger than what you're used to at professional sports facilities, stadiums, arenas, things like that.
And then, go for?
Well, this one goes for about $100,000. There are 6 different price ranges, but if you got 100 grand on you, we'll sign you up today.
Wish I did.
You know, but stadium seating that goes down to the glass. We're right at the start-finish line, so you got a great view here. A couple of television sets so that you can catch all the replays. If you can do it, this is the way to go to the races. We're out here in the hallways around the suite level, and it may not seem like much, but we've made them very wide so that a lot of people can get up and down them, that kind of thing, because we try to keep thinking of comfort for the fans and the patrons, that kind of thing. One of the things we did that's kind of unusual here is up on suite level, we built a souvenir stand that the fans that are in the suites can come over here and pick up the things they want to take home and that kind of thing, right up here without having to go downstairs into the grandstands, which, you know, for the benefit of the fans buying tickets out there, less people to stand in line behind at the stands. So it benefits everybody here, and it's just one of those little things, nothing major, but all those little things add up to a lot. We've seen the suites. Why don't we go downstairs and see the grandstands, because they're pretty incredible. There's 150,000 seats here, and it's quite a place. We're here in the PSL seats, the chair seats that offer a little more comfort, that kind of thing. Front stretch grandstands is 2/3 of a mile long. It seats about 125,000 people. We got 2,450 toilets. That may not seem like much, but that's very important. More concession stands and souvenir stands than anybody in racing. So we've tried to do everything we can to serve fans and make their life a little more pleasant. So it's not a bad view either. We're right here just past the start-finish line. This is our Unical station here. Every NASCAR Winston Cup Speedway has to have one. We're really happy with how this one turned out, and Unical likes it a lot. It's right by the NASCAR Winston Cup garage. This one really turned out nicely. It's a lot like what we have in Charlotte. 52 bays in all. All the teams have a spot to work from. Nice concrete pad to park on, that kind of thing, and all the rigs can get in here. Really turned out real nice. Really happy with it. We're about to go into the theater here that's part of the infield media center. Kind of different than anything else you see at other speedways. Seats 105 people. Got a stage over here where you can pull a car onto it for press conferences. You know, so we'll do a lot of those kind of things, but also the pre-race drivers meeting, the chapel service on Sunday morning, those kind of things we'll do here. And it just kind of gives us a room that we can use for a variety of functions that nobody else has. After the race is over, the driver goes from victory lane straight to the stage to face the media and answer questions about how they won the race, that kind of thing. So kind of unique and novel. And as an OPR guy, Bruton Smith walked in here one day and he said, oh, I can see a PR guy design this speedway. So, you know, we want to do things that we don't have elsewhere because we want to be bigger and better than every place else, and hopefully we've accomplished that goal.
Well, thank you, Eddie, for that tour. We can't wait to get there. Coming up, the mailbox right after this break, so you stay with us. The Inside NASCAR mailbox is brought to you by Miller Lite. Our question today is from Robin Hempel from Westfield, Massachusetts. What do the drivers' wives do during a race?
I'm Buffy Waltrip. I'm Michael Waltrip's wife, and he drives a Busch car and a Winston Cup car. So that's a good question, Robin. I have lots of races to watch. During the Busch race, I do gas mileage. So I sit in the pits and do laps and configure the gas mileage after each pit stop. And then during the Cup races, I kind of have the day off, so to speak. I sit in our motorhome where I have a radio that is connected to Michael, so I can hear everything going on with the team, and I watch the TV. It's just a good way to see everything better than sitting in the pits. Sometimes when you're in the pits, you can't see the entire track. And I'd say for the most part now with motorhomes, probably 60 to 70% of the wives are in that area, especially the ones with children.
If you have a question for the Inside NASCAR mailbox, write to us at Inside NASCAR. Post Office Box 240417, Charlotte, North Carolina 28224. If we use your question on the air, you'll receive this embroidered Miller Lite jacket and a cap and shirt from Chase Authentics, the authentic trackside apparel of NASCAR.
The racing world continues to mourn the death of John Nemechek, who passed away after his accident at Homestead, Florida, a couple of weeks ago. From all of us here at Inside NASCAR, we want to wish the entire Nemechek family the very best. Our prayers and best wishes are with you. We'll be right back after this. Still another race car here at DAJ Racing. This is the Hudson Technology Ford that Jason Jarrett made his professional debut in Busch racing this weekend at Hickory, North Carolina. Steve Wade has Wade's World right now. Let's see what he has on his mind.
Hi, I'm Steve Wade. Everything is bigger in Texas, and that certainly applies to Texas Motor Speedway and the upcoming Interstate Batteries 500, the first Winston Cup race at Bruton Smith's newest facility. However, bigger is not necessarily better. Let me explain. It really doesn't matter if it's the first race at a giant track like Texas or a bull ring in Arkansas. Something is going to go wrong. There hasn't been a speedway yet created that didn't experience some problems at its first race, and in many cases at many races afterward. It won't be any different at Texas. When you are dealing with building materials, construction, contracts, personnel, and finances, there's always something that doesn't fall into place. Now, at the Interstate Batteries 500, if you happen to find yourself gridlocked in traffic, it should not surprise you. If you find your parking space is a mud hole, that's not surprising either. If you find it difficult to find your way around and you're going in circles, like this thing behind my head, well, that's part of it all, too. The logistics involved in putting on a Winston Cup race are tremendous. They include everything you can imagine, from plumbing to health care. And when a speedway makes its debut, you can expect a few things to be missing. Now, this is not to criticize Texas or any other speedway. It's just the way it is. A speedway finds its bearings after its first race. It realizes where its shortcomings are and attempts to correct them. Or it should, anyway. At Texas, we know it has been on an accelerated building schedule, and it's not likely everything is going to be completed by the time the Interstate Batteries 500 gets the green flag. So it follows that the speedway is going to have to keep on building and solve existing problems after the race is over. If Texas is a track that will operate like its sister tracks, Charlotte and Atlanta, then we can expect it to immediately tend to the problems revealed after the first race. And no matter how opulent the track may be now, wait till you see it in the near future. Smith has always seen to it that the facilities at his tracks are improved or expanded. There are even condos at Charlotte and Atlanta. As old as those tracks are, construction is still going on. We're all anxious to see Texas Motor Speedway and the Interstate Batteries 500. The newest race at the newest track has naturally attracted our attention. In fact, they've attracted nationwide attention. But things won't be perfect. There will be some problems, and fans won't hesitate to point them out. Hey, Texas knows this, so it expects to have more work on its hands. It's going to deliver on its promise to be bigger, and it will work hard to be better. It's just going to take a little time.
Let's turn the clock back to 1991 at the Hickory Motor Speedway when Kenny Wallace was one of the fastest rising stars in Busch Grand National competition. He had some good teachers, Big Brother Rusty, and current BGN champion crew chief Steve Bird. 1991 was also a great year for the Labonte family. With Dad Bob in his corner, Bobby Labonte won the 1991 BGN title with sponsor Penrose. Other BGN stars in 1991 included Steve Grissom, who had given up a promising football career to drive a race car, current BGN points leader Todd Bodine, Jeff Burton, who finished 4th at Darlington last week in his Winston Cup car, the gentleman racer Jimmy Hensley, middle racing Wallace brother Mike, and 1990 BGN champ Chuck Bound. The Granger Select 400 was rain delayed and postponed in 1991 when the cars returned to Hickory on June 15th. Jimmy Hensley, driving the unsponsored number 25 for Don Beverly, took the victory.
David got under me several times, like 40 laps ago, and he drove me a real good race. He didn't get up into me, and, I appreciate that. I like to run hard, but I also like to run clean. So he drove a good race, and he got messed up at the end and got spun out of something, but he drove a good race, and so did Jeff Gordon. Two rookie drivers, they sure don't drive like rookies. And for me, I've been doing this a long time. They're putting the pressure on me.
So it was just 6 short years ago that 1995 Winston Cup champion Jeff Gordon was a Busch Grand National rookie. The gentleman racer Jimmy Hensley, the 1991 Granger Select 400 winner. Hickory, the birthplace of champions.
Now let's take a look at what's coming up next week right here on TNN on Inside NASCAR.
You see them going down the road at the racetrack, but what goes into the construction of the haulers that transport the race cars and equipment to the track each week? We'll show you how Featherlight Trailers build a racing hauler from the ground up. Do you find yourself still searching for a ticket to the Texas Motor Speedway next weekend? Don't feel alone. If you thought it was hard to get a ticket to some of sport's biggest events, add the Texas Motor Speedway to the list. We'll talk to some people about the demand for Texas tickets. After struggling with a new body and numerous rule changes, the Pontiacs have found new life on the Winston Cup circuit. That charge is led by Morgan Shepherd and Richard Jackson's #1 car. The team started the season with little backing, and with Morgan's recent success, has the team still hoping for some major funding. All this and more coming up next week on Inside NASCAR.
Many of the drivers and other personalities in NASCAR racing are fans of other sports too. A couple of weeks ago when we were in Atlanta for the Prime Star 500, some of them took in an NBA game, the Atlanta Hawks, and that is the subject of this week's Inside NASCAR Profile.
NASCAR night at the Omni in Atlanta had fans lining up to see their favorite drivers: Jeff Bodine, Ricky Craven, Ted Musgrave, David Green, and Robert Presley. All were on hand to sign autographs as well as share a few laughs.
Real boyfriend, you were hugging me like that? I know.
But the autograph session was just a prelude to the main event, an exhibition basketball game between Jeff Bodine's pit crew and Ted Musgrave's pit crew. So what about the other drivers?
Well, I tell you, I kind of like basketball, but they didn't invite me, and it's probably a good thing, because I can probably twist an ankle quicker than anybody out here, and the Caterpillar people wouldn't like that, I tell you, come Sunday.
As you can imagine, there was some trash talking going on before the game.
For the past couple of weeks, Jeff's team, the average age has been like maybe 50 to 60. Tonight, I think the average age is, 24, 26? Imagine that.
I hadn't noticed that, but I'm not playing against him.
Well, then maybe you can play on my team, help him out. Do we use sticks here or anything? So you can check them into the boards or anything like that?
We'll get back to you on that, Ted. Ted didn't play sports in school.
Jeff, he did say that the average age of your team is between 50 and 60 years old.
He won't say that after they beat him. I might sneak out there, I like to do that. Just sneak out there behind somebody, tackle them. This is football, right? Oh, no, it isn't. It's basketball. Uh-oh. I don't have my shorts.
You probably did.
Finally, it was time for the game. Only problem was the two captains were no-shows because they were still signing autographs.
I need to get these done so I go out and help the team. They said they need my help losing points.
So it was up to their crews to put on a good show.
Who are these people?
We missed the setup. Bad.
They are bad. I don't think we scored.
No, we didn't score.
By the way, who's keeping score?
Not a very good team.
They need to stick to 4 wheels. I believe next time we decide to do one of these outings, we might let the car sit in the garage for a little bit and go out and play hoops for a while.
But the game did have its moments, too.
I think we might be able to hang on to this one. We got a lap on the field, but you never know if the caution comes out, they might get their lap back.
With less than a minute to play, Bodine and Musgrave dressed and then hit the court.
We killed him. Oh, man.
The final score, 26-8, Team QVC.
Wait a minute, I'm out of breath. I tried to make one basket. Nah, hey, they were awesome out there. I didn't even get to coach them. Rematch. I'll give it to you.
Ted, you weren't out on the court and your team lost by 18 points. I think they could have used you out there.
I'll tell you what, if I was on the court, we would have lost by 28 points. I think the best thing I could have done stayed up. Really, I could play basketball okay. Like I said, I was just trying to take care of all the group of people that came through. Like, man, it was a ton of people for autographs. So Jeff and I kind of watched from the sidelines trying to coach them. But hey, what the heck, they give the best. They had a lot of fun.
Well, that's all the time we have for this show. We hope you enjoyed it. Our thanks to Crew Chief John Urban and all the folks here at DAJ Racing for allowing us to show you around these facilities. You join us again here on TNN for more on Inside NASCAR.
Today's show has been brought to you by Miller Lite. With the great taste of an ice-cold Miller Lite, life is good. Drivers, race teams, and race fans, the 1997 Simpson Race Products catalog is now available, featuring all the new products and services for 97, plus Simpson's complete line of racer and fan gear. To get your copy, call 1-800-71-RACIN and join Team Simpson today. The official conversion van of Inside NASCAR is Gladiator by Glovell, America's #1 luxury van. Glovell, the way we put it together sets us apart. Communications provided by Racing Radios, the two-way radio provider of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, the Busch Grand National Series, and the Craftsman Truck Series.